Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Get to Know UIC, Get to Know United in Christ. Today, I have the absolute joy of being joined with Johanna and Beckett and Kyle. Guys, thank you so much for coming around and hanging out with us today, and thank you for bringing the provisions in the dum-dum lollipop you got there, Beckett. That's very well done. How are we doing?
Yeah.
Good, good.
Good.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. This is absolutely wonderful. So Kyle, Johanna, for folks who maybe haven't gotten the chance to know you guys super well, or for maybe it's been a little while. I mean, we're going on 11 weeks of not really seeing each other in person, so maybe people are forgetting. I don't know. Maybe we need to do reintroductions here. But for you guys, how long has it been that you have been a part of this community? How long have you been connected with United in Christ at this point?
For me, it's been since birth, so a little over 32 years now. I was born into the congregation, and grew up, went through confirmation and all the likes, and then been a part of the church all the way through.
Absolutely, you plugged right in. I mean, just from the get go, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. But Johanna, I know it's been a little more recent for you. In fact, I think you were part of one of the very first new member groups that I did when I came to United in Christ.
Yes. Yep.
That's awesome. So it's been what, if I did my math, what, three years almost that you've been here?
Yeah, something like that. 2 or 3, something.
Excellent.
Something in that.
Very, very cool.
Line.
And like I think sometimes people don't realize, and we've heard from some other, you're one of those what we call the marital transplants, right? You came in by marriage, and we have a number of those, but many of them have still been a part of the community for like multiple decades now. So what was that like for you? What was that like coming in? The Swangers are a known entity at United in Christ, right? And so for you to come along with that, what was that like for you, making your entrance into the congregation?
At first, it was a little different because where I grew up and went to church, I was there since I was, born.
Sure.
I was there for what? When did I move up here?
5 years, a little over 5 years.
So for a long time I was there.
Yeah.
But, it really wasn't that hard of a transition to become, get in the, routine. And everyone was very welcoming. They, still are very welcoming. So, it was very easy to kind of get back, to attend and things like that.
And that's good to hear, because it can be a tough thing, especially if that was your home congregation, right? If you had been there since birth, like that's a close-knit group to have to leave then, right? So I'm glad to hear like you found a sense of that welcome even coming here then, right? Like that's kind of one of the joys that these communities have to offer.
Yeah. It was neat. Before Johanna had moved up here, we went to church a couple times when I was down visiting with her dad.
Okay.
He's very active in their congregation, and the first Sunday that I had went, we walked in and they said to get the hymnal out, and the hymnal was the old green Lutheran worships.
Yes.
I said, I haven't seen one of these in so long. I said, we had switched to the red ones, and I said, this brings back all kinds of memories in a whole different way.
Oh, for sure. And I think you mean we switched to the cranberry runs, because there'll be folks watching this correcting us to say the red ones were before the green one, right? Yeah. It's funny to think that they're big red. I know, it's very funny, isn't it, Beckett? And the new cranberry one, that's older than you at this point, bud. So that's, but and that's very funny to think of like the red hymnal as being the cutting edge now, right? Like
right.
It's very, very cool. I know. Sometimes that's what I think when I pick up those books too. Sometimes, but yeah, I hear you. So, as you think about it, though, clearly, it's been your whole life, Kyle, that you've been connected, and Johnny, you've been here for a couple of years now. So what is it about this place? What is it about this community that makes you want to keep coming back? That makes you want to now bring your families to be a part of this community? What is it that makes you want to keep plugging in at United in Christ?
For me, it's kind of, I feel like it sounds cliche, but it's the family. Yeah. I mean, I've got my biological family.
Right.
I grew up with, in the church as well, but the church really is a family. And there's times where I hadn't made it for a couple weeks in a row, sometimes a couple months. Sure. And, every time you walk back in after missing a couple Sundays, Kay Hilkert was always there to give me a hard time. It's good to see you, young man. It's nice that you finally made it back.
Yes, excellent.
And it really is, a church family. Yeah. And I've built some strong connections with people that I've really learned to grow and respect for that, have took times out of their lives to teach confirmation, to take me and as chaperones on the youth gatherings that I got to go on.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It really is a family, and there's a lot of people that I have a deep rooted respect and friendship with that have come through the church.
For sure, right? It becomes this grounds for us to be able to forge those relationships, right, at all sorts of various different points, and that's worth coming back to. That's very cool. And one day, dude, you're gonna get to see that for your own self, aren't you?
Dude.
Awesome. Very, very cool. So then as you think about like all of those opportunities, right? All of those ways in which this community continues to be that sense of both literal and figurative family for you, what are the ways in which you see God at work among the people here, right? What are the types of ministries you see taking place that you think are exciting and that the Spirit is kind of emboldening, and what are the opportunities here at United in Christ that you would say you can't miss out on, right? Where are those God moments for you guys?
For me, it's just the all the different ways that we find ways to be relevant in the community, and not just our own church family, through donating to Habitat, the mission trips that we've done in the past, and and then all the opportunities there are to take advantage of your church family, as far as the small group the groups that you've put together. It's so nice to have a group of people that like you said, become family. And another thing for me that I've really enjoyed, and Camden had read once before in church, but as hard as this has been, being locked in for for all this time and stuff, it's also been really nice for me to watch with him getting together with the small youth or the younger kid youth group, and reading and being part of the service, and talking to me and being excited to do it and stuff. Like the way that the kids are constantly accepted, and you never feel bad or out of place because Beckett's going crazy like he was doing a little earlier.
Right, that's just part of the course.
You never have to feel like you're going to be looked at differently, or that people don't want you there because you have a child. Like there's so much going on in the ministry for the kids and stuff that I feel we really excel in, and it's great to be a part of as a parent.
Yeah, and I'm glad. I think the word you used at the start, I think that frames it so well. It's relevant, right? We're making the point of our community. We make it relevant, but through the things we do to outreach, through the things we do to support one another, right? Like, and I think that's a really cool thing. I'm glad to hear you reflect on that, because that's been a really interesting thing. Is how do we maintain that relevance right now, right? Because this is a way different time than the church has ever been through, at least in living memory, right? And so the fact that we are able to engage our students in this digital way and maintain that sense of relevance for them by creating and fostering community for them, I think that's so cool. And you alluded to it. I've also really enjoyed watching this kind of group take off among. We've had this parents of preschoolers group getting together post bedtime hangouts for a couple of weeks now, and that's been a really cool thing. That's what church can be, right? That's what community can be for each other, and that's such a cool thing. Very cool. So I love that. I love that, that recognition of the ways in which we leverage, that sense of community to then be relevant, as you said, for the rest of the world. I think that's so neat. So then as you think ahead then, or rather as you think about your own lives, right? What are the ways in which that this community has made a difference for you in your own lives and for your family? What has being a part of this community meant to you over the years?
Just the constant support and friendship, fellowship. Like I alluded to before, that there's so many people in our congregation who give back in so many different ways. And it's just it's a place you can go and truly feel that calming presence and know that you're deeply cared about, and that it's just it's a cool thing to be a part of.
Absolutely. And so I often think it's so unlike anything else that's out there, right? Like this is the gift the church has to offer. This unconditioned sense of belonging and support built into it, right? Like that's a real gift, and you don't find that in other places, right?
When I saw I think it was Mike and Annette Baker had shared a thing on Facebook too that said like, they're talking about churches reopening and stuff. The church never closed.
Exactly.
And that quote that they had shared really hit home for me. And, I've said to Johanna a couple times and to my mom and my grandparents, I really appreciate all that you've done leading us through this, because I feel like our church hasn't missed a beat.
Right. And
we just kept right on clicking. The fellowship's still there. We're still able to interact and finding ways to reach as many people as we can. And that's what church is about. That's what, that's what we are. And there's ways to be the church without being in the building.
Exactly. Right. The church has always been the people in the first place. Right. And it is about that. Again, it's that relevance right now. That's how we are staying relevant. And I want to be real clear. That's stuff. That's what you all have done. Right. I could supply a digital worship service to a community that would never plug into it. But the fact that this church and this community, that United in Christ, went to the measures to make sure that we aren't leaving anyone behind when it comes to our worship, that even though we've got these digital footprints, we're learning how to use them and use them effectively, right? That's the culture that's built into this congregation. That's not me. That's what you all are doing, right? And that's so cool, because it is now living out those exact strengths that you were saying in a new way for the sake of the world around us. And that's been a really, really cool thing. And it's been cool to watch what can thrive in the midst of that. Again, as you said, having Camden help us out, having Beckett help us out with some prayers and worship, more times than ever before, like that's been really cool. Yeah. And what we're learning is that we actually value those things, right? So even when the day comes when we can go back to in-person worship, don't be surprised if we're going to have Camden leading, the confession and forgiveness at the start of worship, or giving the benediction, because we value that, and we value this sense of community and being in the midst of this and sharing in this sense of worship together. So like, those are going to be cool things to hold on to that we've learned in the midst of this, right? Yeah. And again, it's all about maintaining that sense of relevance and reflecting who this community is. So man, you got me up on one of my soapboxes for this time, and I got real excited about it. We'll come back now. But so as you think ahead then, right? As you think about what the future might hold, what God is calling this community to, what are your hopes and dreams for United in Christ? What do you hope to see continue or to thrive, or what do you hope to see the Spirit unleash within this community here at this church on the hill?
I think back to what my Pap Dell said, and just to see the church continue to grow in faith, the body of faith, and obviously with two young boys, I want to see them continue to grow in their faith, continue to be involved in the service. I know this year, unfortunately, with everything going on, Mount Luther's not happening, but
right.
Camden, loves going to Mount Luther. He talks about his friends, and that's another thing that's kind of crazy too for me. I was afforded the opportunity to go to camp.
Yeah.
From the time I was real young, and the first year I went, made friends with someone from Lewistown.
Okay.
And my mom and his parents exchanged phone numbers, and we went to camp every year together.
Oh, cool.
We would call and connect, and it was probably 8 to 10 years ago now, but I was at the Town Tavern in Lewisburg having a beer with some friends, and I turned around and I was like, that's Craig, my friend from camp. And I was like, why would he be here? And the more the night went on, it just kept irritating me. I was like, why? That's him. And
I'm like, there's
no way. And so I finally went up and I was like, are you Craig? And he looks at me and goes, Kyle? I was like, yes.
Oh,
I was like, what are you doing here? Here, another friend that we had made at camp and him were married and expecting their first child.
Stop it.
I was like, this is crazy.
That's wild.
And, then he called her over, and so here we are having so when you hear people say those friendships that you make at camp when you're 7, 8 years old can last, they really can. And
that's so cool.
To have things like that, continue to be available for the kids, because, I don't consider myself super old quite yet, but to see,
because if you are, that does not bode well for me.
to see the kids have the opportunities and see the kids, because
right,
they are the future of the church,
right,
and to see them be afforded the opportunities to grow in their faith,
absolutely,
is something that I love. Whether it's worship, whether it's Camp Mount Luther, whether it's youth gatherings, all those things, to really give them a chance to continue to experience and grow in their faith.
And what I love is empower them to be the leaders they can be now, right? Yes. Hence having Camden lead so many parts of worship. Hence, all of it's so cool that this is a community that wants to do that. And so I share that hope and dream with you, because I think that's such a cool thing, and a unique thing.
Kyle hit the nail on the head with that. I think just allowing them, to make those memories and have those opportunities to, grow in their faith, and because it won't be long before this guy's
he's gonna be ready for camp real soon. What do you guys? I thought it was a Pez dispenser.
No, this is his dinner spoon.
Yeah,
but and to that aspect.
Yeah,
2003 was the first youth gathering that I went to, and we were given a card that said Ubuntu, which was the theme, and it said, "Child of God, you are molded by God and made to be God's hands and feet in the world." That's still in my wallet.
Oh, that's so cool.
17 years later, I'm still carrying it with me. Like those memories are things that you carry with you forever.
Yeah, and that you want to be able to pass on, right, to those who are coming next. Oh, that's so cool. That's so very, very cool. Awesome. Yeah, and I hope that is certainly something that God is continuing to call us towards, because you got to figure that is one of the strengths and joys for us. So it's only natural for us to keep stepping out in that way. Cool. Also, for the record, I got to just say, Kyle, I think that might be like one of the top 5 most Lutheran stories I've ever heard, of friends from Lutheran camp finding each other at the bar and approaching each other after 27 years, and it just hitting it off like nothing had happened. Yep. That embodies so much about the Lutheran Church, I think. Awesome. Well, guys, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. This is really, really nice. But I do give everyone one last chance before we sign off. You get your wild card moment. Is there anything you want to share with everyone who's listening? Anything you want to share with the United in Christ family? Anything you want to pass on? Any words of wisdom you got for us right now? We'll take anything, right?
I think the big thing, for me, kind of echoing some of the things I said before, is just a thank you to yourself and to all of the congregation for always being such a strong support system, and for always giving back in the ways that I got to grow up with people who, like I said, who gave their time to go through confirmation with me, to take me on youth gatherings, to support going to Mount Luther, and I'm very blessed to be part of such an awesome congregation. So I think that would be the big thing for me, is just a thank you for always supporting everyone, and, for enjoying having Camden and Beckett in the service and stuff. I think that's my big thing, is just a firm thank you to everyone.
Awesome. Yeah, I would have to agree. Yep.
Awesome. Cool. And I think I speak for more than just a few folks when I say that it is a mutual joy and pleasure, right, to be able to share in all of those things. So thank you as well. This has been really wonderful. So guys, again, thanks for spending this time together. This was really, really nice. To everyone else at home, God's continued peace and blessings in the days ahead. I'm sure we'll be talking to you sooner rather than later, but one more time, yes, Johanna and Beckett and Kyle, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This was really wonderful. And we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you. Say bye.
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 Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.